until the last few years when I really started to cotton on that spiritual part of who I am. You are who you are, and higher self or spirit really are a very important part of that. The more I embrace spirit, the better I feel about everything, especially about myself. And the more I embrace spirit, the greater are the problems that I can deal with. I don't even have the experience, but you get a problem where there's absolutely no solution at all. And you ask spirit for help, you ask for a sign, you ask whatever. And pretty soon, out of nowhere, you get some sign, or you get some intuition, and you say, okay, I'll go with that. Doesn't make logical sense, but I'll go with it. And you go with it, and slowly but surely, from that, a solution starts to emerge. And you take on that solution, and then you look back and think, wow, lucky I did that, wasn't it? Because at the time when you said yes, you didn't know what you were saying yes to. I don't anyway. When I say yes to the spiritual guidance I'm getting, not direction, guidance I'm getting, I don't know what I'm saying yes to. I just say yes and thinking, okay, I'm going to not hope for the best, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust that Spirit's looking after me. And I'm also going to trust that what I'm feeling is Spirit, not my own emotion. Because if I say yes to emotion, I'm going to get a vastly different answer and a vastly different path than what if I say yes to Spirit. And the difference is, when I say yes to emotion, I'm actually following my fears. And when I say yes to Spirit, I'm actually following the love. Now, that's fine. Love is about going forward. We love to go forward. We love to succeed. We love to progress. We love to get more and more of what we got. Saying yes to emotion is about fear. And it's about keeping you safe, staying the same as much as possible, because emotion doesn't like change. So do what you're going to do. Make the best of what you've got. Because if you go out of what you've got, that's no longer familiar, and we don't know what's going on. And that's where the trust comes in for Spirit. You've got to be willing to say yes to something you don't necessarily know about, to something you've not necessarily have done before, and allow yourself to be guided. Now, the one thing about Spirit is it will never, ever take you over. If you've got something taking you over, it's not Spirit. If you've got something demanding that you do this, that's not Spirit. Spirit never demands. Spirit will intervene only. It will never, ever interfere, because that's not Spirit's role. The Spirit is there to support us with what we're doing. We're on the planet. We're living this life to grow and develop and to become a better version of who we were when we turned up. And the way we do that is resolve the difficulties we're facing. And a lot of the times we get stuck on difficulties because the original difficulty began in our past somewhere. Often in this life, sometimes in a past life. But until we resolve the inner emotion, we get held where we are. And we get held where we are because if we go forward, when you succeed and develop, everything grows. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you've got a bit of bad and ugly in there and that grows and keeps on growing and keeps on growing, sometimes it can take us over. So we've got to do the work to make sure that we're staying in the love and that we're not bringing on some emotional difficulties. Now, sure, when we get there, we're going to have emotional difficulties because there'll be new ones. When you resolve something correctly, that resolution is not going to be there ever again. Other difficulties come up, but that one doesn't. And all these difficulties keep coming up so that we know exactly what to resolve, or exactly what to work on, and they become the guides on the path. That's why they say, the path to success is full of obstacles. You're not going to be allowed to be successful unless you're worthy of it, unless you've done the work and know you can handle the success. Otherwise, that success will destroy you, possibly. A really good example of this is the people who win the lotteries. They haven't done the work. They get heaps of money, $30 or $40 million. And what happens with that is they just blow it. They just blow it and it destroys them. There was one guy in America who won $315 million US. And at one stage, in his brand new convertible car, driving down around his neighbourhood, anybody he saw walking there, throwing a handful of money at them. And then he left $700,000 sitting in the car. The car and the money got stolen. Now, this is a person that hadn't done the work, but he had a hell of an experience, I'm sure. But I do know that 3 years later, he died of cancer. So, who knows? In fact, only about 30% of people who have windfalls like that make it useful in their life. Most of them lose it all within 5 years, and a large percentage of them end up bankrupt because they've spent more than they could spend when they should spend. What I'm saying is, do the work. When you do the work on yourself and use spirit to help you do the work, you become a stronger and stronger version of who you are, because that's what it's all about. It's not about you having the best life here on the planet, although having the best life here on the planet is not a bad idea, because it probably means you're on path. Although you can be on path without having the best life possible. But it's about doing the work on yourself, so becoming the best version of yourself. And that means dealing with what you've got to deal with your past, deal with anything you've brought in from past lives. Use spirit, because when you brought it in from past lives, it's not going to make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. You don't have to make logical sense of the life you're living, but you need to make spiritual sense of it. That's why it's so important to be working with spirit, to be acknowledging spirit, and to be feeling the spirit, and to be spiritually connected, and to know the difference in your feelings between emotion and intuition, because the intuition is usually the love and the spiritual connection. Emotion is not. It's a different feeling completely. And you need to know the difference between those two, because when you know the difference between those two, you can really trust yourself more and more. And the other thing you've got to have, as well as trust, is faith. Do you have faith in yourself? Do you have faith in spirit? Do you have the faith that when something feels intuitively correct to go forward, but all the logic tells you not to, what do? Do you go forward or do you go backwards? When you have the faith that, gee, I think this could be the relationship for me, but logic tells you, hang on, you were connected before, you broke up before, you're probably going to break up again. That's the logic of it. The spirit says, no, go ahead and do it properly this time. This is the relationship for you. Well, you don't know that. All you do is you've got to have the faith that that's right, and trust that you're picking up the right messages. And with that faith and trust, you go ahead and you try it out. And you do what you're guided to do. And if it's right, and if you've been correct in your assumption at the start, you'll find that you've got the relationship of your dreams, or the relationship which is going to serve you to become a better and better version of yourself all your life. That's working with spirit. And we're in the age where we're ready to work with spirit. So I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.